river system. And then north of Michigan, actually northern Ontario, Georgian Bay, there were 6,000 seagulls that were washing up, and fish, sturgeon, that had been washing up actually for a couple weeks prior to this. They are pinning this on botulism, that the birds contracted from eating fish that had this toxin in their system, but they haven't been analyzed yet, as far as I know, and I don't know how forthcoming they'll be with those results, but we had this heavily laden jet stream move through the area, all of these bird deaths in various locations, high reading St. Louis, North Carolina, Michigan, and, you know, it's bad news. Like, if we knew this was coming, everybody should have been taking iodine tablets, potassium iodide.
Let's get into that a little bit, and I'm rushing through it, and I need to get you back on for a full program. But let's get it. About 4 minutes left. What are you doing to protect you and your girls? What do you suggest that people do to monitor their location? And then, if they're concerned, what do you recommend for taking precautions against radiation poisoning?
Well, what I'm recommending is something that we used to use in the medical field called universal precautions that were actually developed from the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. And that's where you just treat every patient as if they have AIDS, because you can't tell who doesn't and who doesn't. And radiation, a lot of times, it's invisible, so you don't know if you're being exposed. And based on these levels and graphs and what we see going on through the cameras at the plant, constant steam releases, I think at this point it would be prudent to assume that our air, food, and water is all contaminated. And there's a few things that you can do. Is one, definitely kids have to stay out of the rain. Rain and snow precipitation washes radiation out of the atmosphere and brings it down to the ground. So you have to keep an eye on the weather and what's going on with that. We're also finding high readings, so just based on cloud cover and wind. And, you know, these particles have been blowing over here for 7.5 months. They don't just disappear. Cesium has a half-life of 30 years. Plutonium has a half-life of 24,000 years. You know, they're settling on branches, on leaves, on trees, on the ground. They're blowing around. And if you inhale these particles, one particle of plutonium can cause lung cancer. So we have to protect our kids in terms of the weather. Water is a big one.
You're keeping your kids out of the rain, out of the snow, is there anything else you're taking? Is there any, iodine tablets or anything like that you're doing to try to front run this?
Well, we're definitely stepping up our diet in terms of high potassium foods, which help combat thyroid cancer, which is a known consequence of iodine-133 exposure. If you do a search online, you can find the 10 highest foods in potassium: avocados, nuts, dates, dark chocolate, and just try to work some of those things into your diet. Some of the things that other researchers are recommending are calcium, 800 milligrams of calcium for adults, 400 milligrams for kids. This protects your bones from strontium uptake. Magnesium supplements, and again, those things that you'll have to check with your doctor or your pediatrician, of course, but there are supplements that you can take to help do that, and also anything that helps boost your immune system, because radiation sickness causes immune deficiency, and radiation also makes bacteria and viruses much more prevalent, much more virulent. So they're stronger, and then if you're getting hit with these with a decreased immune system, then you've got a whole other host of problems. So you need, if there's ever been a time to eat healthy, it's now, and to start working some of these high potassium, antioxidant foods into your diet, and then any foods that are known to be, anti-cancer foods. I make my girls tea a lot. I make them wear scarves when they go outside, and another thing too is cow's milk and dairy. They're finding in California milk samples that those levels are going back up again of radiation in milk. the higher up you eat in the food chain, the more you're going to be exposed to because of bioaccumulation and biomagnification.
Is there people testing this stuff? I mean, do we have groups out there that are trying to monitor? I mean, groups that are outside the government, because obviously, if 50% of the radiological detectors are down, is anybody on this besides alternative media people like yourself?
There's people working on this. It just takes time to...
in the water also? And if it's in the water and it's in the air, isn't it in the vegetation as well? Isn't it in the fruits and vegetables? And therefore, it would also be in the meat. So virtually everything on the planet is poison.
Yep. So go vegan.
But even with that, I mean, all the fruits and vegetables, everything that has a mother is radiated, correct?
Right.
So then,
and even if they're at minuscule levels, the radiation is accumulative. It builds up in your body. And if you do inhale or ingest particles, there are things that you can take to activated carbon or bentolite clay, which you can get in a health food store, and just mix a spoonful of that into your yogurt or into your tea.
Christine, I definitely, maybe I'll send you an email after the program and see if we can't get you back on here real soon in the next week or so, because I got the music playing in my ear, and we're out of time, and we barely scratched the subject. So, Christina, I greatly appreciate your effort. I'll put in your ichicax4, right? Is that right?
Right.
ichicax4 on YouTube, and I'll put her video in again. Subscribe to her if you haven't. She's putting out a lot of important information. Dex, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate your forecast, and I appreciate you hanging out. Christina, I'll contact you after the program, but we'll get you back on real soon. All right, guys. I can't hang out on JTV tonight because it is not working. I cannot access JTV, so I will run it tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Eric Lovely on. He's going to join me for Overtop on Friday. I'll have the JTV hopefully up and working by then if their site's functioning. Have a great night. Enjoy Jeff Renskis. He's coming up next. Peace.
And experience your body healing itself, then this might be the most